What is up, my bits and bobs? It's your boy Pixelation, and unless you've been living under a rock, then you know that Hazbin Hotel Season 2 is now officially over. After 8 episodes, and I want to say 4 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, I don't know. It's honestly one of the shortest seasons of TV I've ever really experienced. At least it felt that way. It was the same amount of time, generally speaking, as season 1, which felt a little more lengthy, if you will. But, I wanted to make this video to kind of just unload some thoughts and opinions about the season, kind of what I thought about it, all that jazz. And I'm going to start with kind of something I just hinted at, the length of it. It felt way shorter than the first season did. And I think that's just because the pacing of this season was a little bit iffy, in my opinion. I feel like this is not necessarily a qualm with the creative team, obviously. This is more a qualm with Amazon, because they're the ones who ultimately decide how many episodes they're gonna, give the creative team to work with. And I feel like with the content of this story, like, we needed more episodes. We needed more time with these characters to kind of break apart these story beats. I feel like the idea of, Vox trying to launch a siege on Heaven was such a cool idea, and it did work out ultimately. Like, I wasn't upset with the way things went, but I feel like they easily could have split this whole story arc into 2 seasons, and I would not have complained a bit. I feel like going into these final 2 episodes, I was thinking that they were going to kind of cut things off at a cliffhanger and show us like the ultimate, the actual, siege against Heaven next season. But no, they wrapped it up, and we got back to some semblance of status quo by the end of this season. So that was a little confusing. I thought maybe they would prolong this a little bit and keep things going, especially since they've already confirmed that we are getting a season 3 and a season 4. So it's not like they have to worry about, sudden cancellation. But, I think generally speaking, I enjoyed the way the story played out. I just feel like they really could have had more time to work with these characters and this story and all of that. Now, as I said, they have confirmed sequel seasons 3 and 4, so it's not like we're never gonna see these characters again. I feel like this season, we got more insight into certain characters and less insight into others. I think that we got a really cool look at the internal workings of Nifty's mind. I feel like she was always a character in season 1 that was just content with being in the background. This season we got a little bit of a look into the chaos that lives in Nifty's head, and I think that's really cool, and I'm really kind of excited to see, do we get more of that in season 3 and season 4. Angel, I know that I've heard that they are going to really touch on Angel's backstory more in season 3, and that makes so much sense after seeing these last 2 episodes. Angel's in a really dark place right now, and I think that they are really going to show us more of Angel in season 3 and maybe even season 4. But in Husk too, we saw a little bit of internal mechanisms in Husk's brain as well. I do believe that there is a missing story arc in this season, and that is Angel and Husk. I feel like in season 1, we got a little bit of, camaraderie between them. Obviously there's more there between them, but they're both kind of self-sabotaging, and they're not really willing to, act on any feelings that may be there. I do believe, though, in season 2, there should have been even just a mini story arc, just a B-plot about Husk and Angel, because towards the end of the season, we got 2 whole-ass songs. We got Love in a Bottle, and we got Losing Streak, and both of those songs by themselves are they're great. I just feel like they're remnants of maybe something that was cut, left on the cutting room floor, maybe, because it just seems like Husk quits the hotel out of almost nowhere just because he's annoyed, and then he goes and he descends into a gambling and drinking fueled frenzy, and then Angel sings him a song, and then he goes back to work like normal. Like it just felt like he was just mildly annoyed at things, and then he was cured of any annoyance by. And then maybe that's the point, you know. Maybe that's the point is, you know, he's in love with Angel, and a song from Angel would help him through, you know, even the most mild annoyances. But I just feel like we needed more about them. You know, it just felt like they took a hard pivot and did those songs, and then we never touch on it again. But I hope that we get some of that. You know, now that we're going into Angel's story arc, I feel like the Husk really has a chance to step up here. It's going to be a really interesting thing to see. Another thing that I really wanted to touch on is the existence of. So what I want to know is what is the structure of heaven. When we have scenes that play out in heaven, I feel like it's very unclear what is going on here, right? In this season, we did get a peek into a character called the Speaker of God. I don't know who this is, because the character, I refer to them as they them because I don't really know if they have a gender. They show up, they have a song with Sarah, and then they literally just fuck off and they never show up again. And I'm just like, that has to be something where maybe they were supposed to show up again. I don't know. I don't know what the structure of heaven is supposed to be like. Is there a god in the Hazbin Hotel universe? And if so, where the fuck is he? Or she, or they, or whatever. Is Speaker of God supposed to be the god character in the Helliverse? I don't really know. I'm not one of those people that, like, you know, obsesses over the minute details of the Helliverse. So I wouldn't know. You know, I know some people are like, oh, I'm really excited for this character, and it's like, how do you even know they exist? Oh, because I obsessed and combed over countless blog entries from Viv, and that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just not the kind of person who does that. So I don't know, like, technically speaking, in the Helliverse, is there a god? And if there is, where are they? And more importantly, why is it that they're trying to really paint Sarah as like this ultimate deity who makes all the decisions, if the Speaker of God is technically above her? And then even further, if there's like a god above them. I just don't know. I'm not certain it really matters at the end of the day. I think that I'm just kind of maybe nitpicking the things a little bit. I just felt kind of whiplashed whenever this character came in, the Speaker of God, and then just left, and no one ever mentions them again. Sarah, during Sarah's existential crisis, whenever Vox gives her 24 hours or he's going to invade heaven, she doesn't once think, maybe I should consult with the Speaker of God. No, she instead consults with Serpentius. And they do a fucking reprise of It Starts With Sorry, which I thought was great, but I was just like, there's another way to handle this, and it's not doing a reprise of It Starts With Sorry. But yeah, no, I liked the way that they handled the Vox threat. I think that Vox versus Alistair was absolutely brilliant. I think that I had to really think hard about the wordplay involved in Alistair getting free from Rosie. I was like, so I'm guessing the way that I imagine it happened is that she promised him, when he made a deal with her, that she would make him the most powerful sinner in all of hell. And as soon as someone of authority, i.e. Charlie, said that Fox was the strongest sinner in all of hell, that was enough to break the chains, I guess. And then, of course, the wordplay involved in "you will not lay a hand on Charlie Morningstar." That was clearly, that was a way for Alistair to get away from Vox's deal, and that is going to play a part in season 3 that I'm a little scared to see, because ultimately Alistair doesn't really want anything that Charlie wants, so it may come down to them being at odds at some point. I think that ultimately speaking, he's going to give in, but it's just that he has a lot of power and he has a lot of ulterior motives that I'm not really sure how it's all going to play out in the end. The resolution of Vox, with him being relegated to a TV head is kind of interesting. I kind of hoped to see the V's just kill him. I don't think that's what they did. It's possible that they did off screen and we just didn't see it. It's also possible that they're just going to keep him as a TV head, and just see how that goes. But I don't know exactly how I feel about that. I know that Val said in the last few minutes of the final episode, I don't know Vox, and so it's possible that they're just gonna keep him in prison and basically be like, we're the boss now, bitch. But that being said, I'm really excited to see what season 3 and season 4 have in store. I just hope that we get it sooner than, I hope the wait between season 2 and 3 is a little bit less than it was between season 1 and 2. Of course, I want them to take the time they need. I want them to have all the time in the world to do what they need to do to make this a great season. I would like to believe that they're not going to stuff too much into this season or this next season and have the same issues that season 2 had. But ultimately, that's my take on season 2 of Hazbin Hotel. I still have trouble believing that this show is set in the same universe as Hell of a Boss. I feel like they are really gonna have to, in the next few episodes of Hell of a Boss, they're really gonna have to touch on some things to make me believe that this is the same Hell, just because I just don't believe it right now. They could easily change my mind there by just mentioning Vox in some capacity now that they have the freedom to do so. Mentioning Vox's, devastation of the Pride Ring, do something to just. It doesn't have to be a plot point. It could be just a background thing, like some construction that they're doing or something, just to prove that this is the same world as has been. But ultimately that's up to Spindlehorse, and I don't really have any control over that. So with that being said, do you tell me what you think of season 2 of Hazbin Hotel and anything that I have said in this video. Anyway, I have been Pixelation, reminding all of you to stay pixelated, and I'll see you next time.